So I'm going to break down this composition for you uh, rather than do a demonstration for you, as everybody's is going to be completely different. I thought it would be better just to show you the pieces, talk to you about what was done, and then let you do your own thing, because I expect everybody's surrealist work is going to be completely different. So right now, what I love about Photoshop is those little eyes there. I can remove everything. So when I started, I had a blank background. First thing I did was I brought in a photo of, of a castle. Okay. Um, I did make some changes to the castle. If I click on it, I should be able to see what some of those changes were. Hue saturation would have been one change. Let's see what happened. When I changed the hue saturation, it went from being a blue sky, blue rooftops, to red. And let's see, my next addition was the weird doll. Okay. And the weird doll has an opacity to her, 65%. When I originally brought her in, of course, she would have looked more like that. She would have been a lot brighter. And I just felt with the eeriness that I wanted to give this, 65% seemed like a better opacity for her. Okay, so she was the second thing I brought in. I think I said something to you guys yesterday about using your dodge tool, and I'm pretty sure I used it in the sky. I don't think, I think it's there. I see the white, but let's just see what happens if I go ahead and try to, yeah, if I go in some more, I can brighten up this sky more if I wanted to by using my my burn tool. And I have it set on highlights right now. If I were to change it to midtones and did the same thing, it wouldn't be quite as bright. I'd see more of the midtones, and that probably would make it a little smoother. If I went into shadows, then the shadows would become, whoops, a little more noticeable, and yet I'm still lightening everything. I'm still pulling out tone. If I want this section right here to blend a little better, right now it's not blending very well, I would turn the exposure down, because right now it's on full exposure. And if I continue with my highlights but just sort of lower my exposure a bit, I'll still get the lightness, but it won't perhaps be so much. So I'm going to go down a little more and just see if I can't blend this better. But that's something you can do to a variety of things. If you want to do it to your castle, you can do it to your castle. I would possibly, if I wanted those colors to be brighter, I'll probably have to raise the exposure. I could go in and these colors could get a little brighter if I wanted them to be. I'm not positive. It's not bad. You can see a little bit of brighter reds coming out. Okay, so again, the first tool here, there's a variety of tools. You have your dodge tool, okay? The next one is your burn tool. The burn tool is going to make things a little darker. So if you feel the need, there's your burn tool right there. If you feel the need to darken things, you're trying to get a more eerie look, you want maybe the side of her face to be darker, okay? You want the shadows to be more noticeable. Oops, it would help if I was clicked on her. There we go. Make sure you're, there we go. Make sure you're always clicked on the right layer. So you see I've just darkened the shadowing around her. And I could even let it go around her face like that. Maybe some shadows in here. Okay. And so those two tools can just lighten and darken, so they can be pretty useful. The next thing I added was this eyeball, and just kind of a weird thing to add. When I placed the eyeball, I placed it in at 100%. So I did not change the opacity on it. Honestly, I probably could. I'm going to lower that opacity a little bit. I think I'm going to take it down to 76. I don't want it to be quite as bright as it was. Now's the bride. Okay, the bride was brought in at 100%. Again, I could leave her at 100%. I could dim her just a bit, maybe by using 86%. If I want to use, say, the burn tool, if I want to kind of create more shadows in her, I can go in and use my burn tool, and that would probably accentuate some of the shadowing in her clothing. You can see how things are getting a little bit darker where the shadows are on her body. And since this is, you know, the idea of this is to be sort of dark and dim, having shadows is probably not a bad thing. So I'm going to go ahead and really accentuate those shadows. Okay. As I move up, I've added the bride. Next, I had my distorted bride. Now, the distorted bride is based on the other video that I did where I showed you how to use the puppet warp, and I showed you how to use the Liquify filter, and those things do just really weird things. So, and then I brought her in after I made those changes to her. She, it looks like her opacity is set at 100%. I could fade her more if I wanted her to kind of look more ghostly. I could probably do maybe a 74% on her. That wouldn't be bad. But because I'm bringing in another picture, it's possible that I won't need to. The sharks were the next thing I brought in. Now, I think I mentioned to you that with the sharks picture, I used my eraser quite a bit, and I erased things. So for instance, if this is my sharks in the water picture, I went to my eraser tool, and let's just say, you know, I want to see more of the eye here. I'm going to erase the water where the eye is so that the eye is not hidden completely by that water. So the water's still there, the sharks are still there, but part of that eye is now showing. Okay, and I did that where the castle is. You can see where the castle kind of shows through, and the reason the castle shows through is because I'm erasing part of the shark picture that's in front of it. So doing little things like that shows a little bit of what's in your background, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to see. If I, you know, want to see more of her face, I can erase the water. I could just sort of erase out the water, and now her face does not have that blue in front of it. Okay, maybe here, maybe I just want her eye to stand out more, so I can erase some of the blue or some of the blue water. that's in her eye. So if you were to look at just the sharks in water picture right now, you'd see a picture with a lot of white spots on it, because that's where I've erased parts of this picture. I did add a hue saturation to the eye because I wanted to, and I'm gonna slightly move it over, because I wanted the eye to have some red to it. And of course I did that with a new adjustment layer because I wanted it to affect just the eye. In fact, I think what I actually did was let's just see where this is. What I did was I created a clipping mask, and with the clipping mask, I was able to allow the color to stay right inside the eye. So in any case, these are, you know, some of the things that I was able to do to this. I only used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures, okay? And just putting those 6 pictures together gave me a very unusual looking work of art. And that's this is just an example. You do whatever sounds good to you. So good luck, and ask me for help.